الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف وجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره. In the name of God, the Compassionate, the Merciful. Last week we talked about the lady MASUMAH, may peace be with her, and because I couldn't finish my talk, so I decided to continue with the same topic, and inshallah after we finish this topic then we go back to the hadith of Imam Kazim alayhi salam about intellect. We already talked about some aspects of her personality and especially the function that the lady has after her demise, which is closely connected to the function of the city of Qum in the end of time, in Akhir al-Zaman. To understand personality of a person who belongs to Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, whether a son of Imam or daughter of Imam, there are different ways. And our ulama normally consider several factors so that they can say that this particular son of Imam or daughter of Imam has a very special status, or just he is a child of Imam. He's an Imam Zadeh. Because there are many Imam Zadeh, in many places, alhamdulillah, we have places that belong to children of Imam. But it's not that all children of Imam are like Lady MASUMAH. Lady MASUMAH has a very special position. It's not just a child of Imam. Therefore, we have to consider these factors, and then we'll realize that Lady MASUMAH is a very special case. And only few children of Imams are in that level. Like Lady Zainab, for example, or like Hazrat Abul Fazl. Not that every children of Imam are in that caliber. One factor is to have a clear history. Sometimes there are places that are named after certain children of Imams, but we are not very sure about the authenticity of these places. So the locals have been saying that there is such a person or Sayyid buried here, but sometimes it's not very well documented. And people, because, for example, they have seen some maybe extraordinary events there, sometimes they have trust there. And sometimes also may not be genuine reasons for that. They want to have a place in their, village, so they are happy, to believe in what suits them. In some cases, we have a clear history behind this personality. In the case of Lady MASUMAH salamullah alayha, not only existence of such a person is very clear, that there was such a girl, such a daughter, born in the family of Imam Kazim alayhi salam, with all the details. Also, we have no doubt about her arrival in this town. Sometimes either you don't know such a person existed, that Imam had such a child, or you don't know he has come to this place. In the case of Lady MASUMAH, everything is very clear, everything well documented. No historian has ever doubted that there was such a lady and that she came to Qum and that she is buried in Qum and she is buried in this actual place. It's very important. For generations, all scholars have accepted this without any doubt.
Especially, you know that the people of Qom, right from the beginning, they were very careful about any narration, about anything which is attributed to Ahlul Bayt. Sometimes even they sent out some people who were narrating weak hadith. They sent them out of the town. They didn't let them to stay in town. So no one has doubt that this lady has come to this town and is buried in this particular place. This is very important. In the case of Lady Zainab Salamullah alayha, we don't have any doubt about her personality, about details of her life to some extent, but unfortunately when it comes to the burial place, there are different views. And it's not that ulama agree on one particular place. Some say it's in Damascus, some say it's in Cairo. And of course, you may say that in any case, whether it's in Damascus or Cairo, these both places belong to lady, so they have some affinity to the lady. But it's different from a place like here, that you are 100% sure that definitely the lady has come here and has been buried here. It's very different. The second thing is that when we go to visit the children of Imams, sometimes we recite Fatiha, sometimes there are some ziyarat which are generally recommended. But to have a ziyarah which is specifically recommended by Imams for that person is very special. Even, for example, if you go to Lady Zainab's shrine, the normal ziyarah which is recited, it doesn't seem to be from Ma'sum. It's something that explains some aspects of her life, some aspects of her personality. But as far as I know, you can correct me, as far as I know, that ziyarah is not ma'sur, is not received from Imams. But the ziyarah of Lady Ma'sumah is from Imam Raza alayhi salam. So Imam not only said go and visit the lady, as I will mention, he has actually taught the Shia the way they should pay respect to the lady. This is very important. So Imam has taught us what to say to this lady when we want to visit her. And then those things which are mentioned in this ziyarah become significant, because this is made by Imam. This is not what I have composed or you have composed. This is what Imam has composed. So it's very significant. The other factor which can help us to understand position of a personality that belongs to Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, a girl or boy, is how much ulama, generation by generation, have respected this place, have attached significance to this place. There are some places that for some reason, for centuries, they were unknown. Then a person has a dream, or for some reason they realize that there is a grave here, then they realize that this is a, for example, good person, and so on and so forth. That becomes, special. But when a grave is visited by all ulama, generation by generation, and there is continuity to the time of the death of that person, this makes it very special. It's not that this shrine was discovered after a few centuries. From the time of the burial of the lady up to now, always the greatest scholars of the school of Ahlul Bayt have either visited themselves or have recommended the Shia to visit this place. So this is also very special. The other thing is what infallibles have said about that personality. We love Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, and for sure we love their children. Even we love their followers, we love even a person who has met them. If we know that a person has just met Imam, it would be, for us special. We want to see him. So for sure, we respect and love children of Imams. But if Imams themselves have said something about the merits of this person, it makes it special. If Imam has specifically said that this person is pious, or this person is knowledgeable, or this person is wise, then it becomes special. In the case of Lady Ma'sumah, Salamullah alayha, in addition to having clear history, in addition to having a ziyarah which is made by Imam and recommended by Imam, in addition to receiving respect and attention from ulama generation by generation continuously, we have statements from Imams which are very special. For example, there are some famous hadiths that you must have heard, but there is benefit in reminding ourselves of these hadiths. Imam Raza alayhi salam said, "Man zaraha arifan bihaqqaha falahul jannah." If a person visits the lady while he knows her rights, or in my understanding, he acknowledges her right. Because arifan bihaqqa doesn't mean just to know. It's to acknowledge. Because sometimes you know something, then you ignore it. There were people who knew that Imams were Imams. This is not considered arifan bihaqqi. If you acknowledge, and there is a discussion, we don't have time to explain what does it mean, arifan bihaqqih. In Muharram lectures, I had this discussion, so I don't want to enter into that because that takes time. This is a very important, deep concept. There are many hadiths, for example, about those who visit Imam Hussein alayhi salam, arifan bihaqqih. Or for example, about arifan bihaqqihi wa hurmatihi wa wilayatihi, as we have in the case of some imam. So this is a very important concept. Just for the time being, I think it's enough to say the one who acknowledges her rights. If someone visits the lady while he or she acknowledges the right of lady, falahul jannah. This person is able to enter heaven. 2 points. What does it mean that this person can go to heaven? Does it mean that he definitely goes to heaven? Just by visiting the lady, you go to heaven? My understanding is this. If a person visits the lady out of respect, out of understanding her position, and fulfilling the requirements of knowing that she has such a position, this is sufficient for being granted the permission of going to heaven, provided that there is no other factor that can override this. Sometimes maybe I have this, but in addition to that, I have, some sins, some bad behaviors that they stop me going to heaven. If they were not there, this by itself is enough to go to heaven. Once I was talking about this topic, and this example came to my mind, and hopefully you like this example. Sometimes, for example, I say to someone who doesn't have a house, he's looking for a house, and I says, how much you need to buy a house? He says, I need, for example, 40 million 2 months, 50 million 2 months to buy a flat. I say, okay, I give you the money so that you can buy a house. So I give him 40-50 million tumans cash so that he buys a house. But after a few weeks, I see him, he still is looking for a house. What happened? He said, I had lots of debt. All the money that you gave me, I had to pay because I was in debt to people. So I gave him enough so that he can buy the house. But the problem was that he had lots of, debt and he had to pay them. So now he doesn't have house. If he hadn't had those debts, the money was enough. Okay? If someone has not committed sins and does not suffer from bad akhlaq, bad manners, so on and so forth, one visit of the lady while you acknowledge her rights is enough to go to heaven. But the problem is that we do so many bad things that we are in debt. So this is one point. The second point, in the case of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, when we say arifan bihaqqihi, it comes to our mind that it means his right of imamah. He is our imam, so he has a right of obedience. We have to obey our imam. Now the question is, what is haqqihi or haqqaha when it is used for Lady MASUMAH? What type of right she has? Is the right of being a sister of Imam, this is a right that she claims and demands? The right of being a daughter of Imam? What type of right is this? Arifan bihaqqaha. What type of right is this? And is it the right that she has over us, or is it the right that Allah has given her over himself? Because Allah gives, rights to people voluntarily. We don't have any right over Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but Allah says for the pious people, I give them such a right. If you are a pious person, you have right over Allah to go to heaven. Allah never sends a pious person to hell. So is it the right that she has over us, or is it the right that Allah has given her, like the right of shafa'ah? Maybe it can mean the right that Allah has given her and Allah respects that right. This lady, as we explained last week, has been given the right of doing shafa'ah. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, تَدْخُلُ بِشَفَاعَتَهَا شِيعَتُنَا الْجَنَّةِ بِأَجْمَعِهِ. All our Shia, through her intercession, her shafa'ah, they will go to heaven. We explained this last week. Who has given her this right to do shafa'ah? Me and you cannot give this right to her. مَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يَشْفَعُ عِنْدَهُ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for some reason that He knows better than anyone else, has given this lady such a right. We tried to have some reflection on this last week, but Allah knows better. He has decided to give the right of shafa'ah to this lady. If you want to benefit from this right, you have to acknowledge this. If I go to a doctor and I say, I don't accept you as a doctor, and then you must cure me. So if you don't, accept me, so why should I give you a prescription? I go to an alim, I say, I don't accept that you know anything better than me. You must guide me. So what is the point? If you don't believe that this lady has the right of shafa'ah, then what do you expect? And one more evidence for this is that statement which is mentioned in Ziyarah. Ya Fatima tushfa'i li fil jannah fa inna laka inda Allah sha'nan min ash-sha'n. So, inna laka inda Allah sha'nan min ash-sha'n. is our acknowledgement that she has such a right. Ishfa'i li fil Jannah is our request. So we have come to the right place. It's not just by chance or accident that we have come here. We know what this lady has, and we request the lady, please give us from the gift that Allah has given you. So, arifan bihaqqaha perhaps means the right that Allah has given her for shafa'ah. It can be also more general. In any way, Imam Raza said, whoever visits the lady while he or she acknowledges the right of lady would be able to go to heaven. Of course, provided that there are no other obstacles, as we explained. In another hadith, Imam Raza alayhi salam said, Man zara al-ma'sumata biqum kaman zarani. This is a very powerful statement. Man zara al-ma'sumata biqum. First of all, the lady was not called Ma'sumah. She didn't say Manzara Ukhti, Manzara Fatima Ukhti. She said Manzara al-Ma'sumata biqum. And I said maybe it doesn't mean infallible in the theological sense, but at least means pure, immaculate. This is a lady that Imam has certified her purity. And Imam says, if you visit her, it's like visiting me. What does it mean? This needs reflection. Is it an exaggeration that Imam says, she is, a very good person. If you visit her, it's like, my visit, but in an exaggerated way. Sometimes, for example, a great alim, to encourage people to go and visit their local alim, he says, whoever goes to that local alim is like coming to me. This is an exaggeration. It's not really like him. For example, if Allama Tabatabai is in Qom and one of his students in a town, visiting that person and visiting Allama is not the same. You cannot really say visiting him is like visiting me. Yes, you can say, if you show him respect, you have shown respect to me. But to say visiting him is like visiting me is different. Do you understand? Sometimes I say, if you show respect to him, you have shown respect to me. That's okay. This is not exaggeration. Because this is my student. If you show respect to my child, it's like showing respect to me. But I cannot say visiting my child is like visiting me. The only time you can say visiting her is like visiting me if her visit has the same function that visiting of Imam has. If a doctor says that if you visit that nurse is like visiting me, it means that for my illness that nurse can be as useful as the doctor himself. But if I have a problem that nurse cannot sort it out, then he cannot say visiting that nurse is like visiting me. You understand the difference? So, what we expect from visiting Imam? Everything that you expect from visiting Imam Raza, which is more than just reward. It's not just we expect reward for ziyarah. Yes, reward can be given easily, but the spiritual effect of ziyarah, the light that you want to gain from visiting Imam, that is given when you visit Lady Ma'sumah. Otherwise, this is exaggeration. So if we go to Imam Raza for asking help for our spiritual problems, for gaining knowledge, wisdom, shafa'ah, everything, you can go and ask Lady Ma'sumah, and she has been given this authority by her brother to do this. Of course, there is a technical discussion here that maybe Imam Raza, when he was alive, an Imam, he gave this position to the lady. What about other Imams? Because this was said by Imam Raza alayhi salam when he was alive. So Imam Raza says, visiting her grave is enough, and I will give you whatever you can expect from me when you visit me. But I don't think Imam Raza would be special. I don't think Imam Jawad would say, no, I am different from my father. I will tell you that you must visit me, and you visit my aunt is not the same. If one Imam does something, then other Imams approve it, unless there is a political, social issue, which is not something that affects the spiritual issue. And we will have also from Imam Jawad alayhi salam this recommendation about the lady. So it's not that only at the time of Imam Raza this visit was like visiting the Imam. And perhaps this is also a bashara for us. You can check yourself, whether you accept what I'm saying or not. If Imam Raza says visiting her is like visiting me, and if Imam Jawad and Imam Hadi and Imam Askari all would confirm this, so what about our age? So if we miss Imam Zaman, don't you think we can say visiting the lady is like visiting Imam Zaman? If Imam Raza at his time, he said, although I am alive, because Imam Raza was alive when he said this, I am alive but still visiting my sister who is buried is like visiting me. So what about our time? So if you really want to visit Imam Zaman Ajjalallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, you should visit the lady. Do you get the point? So unfortunately we underestimate this great gift that we have in this town. There is a hadith from the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. You know that the Prophet said about Lady Fatima to Zahra Salamullah Alayha, Fedaha Abuha. May her father be her ransom. This is very powerful. Fedaha Abuha. The Prophet so much loved the Lady Fatima and so much knew about her merits and her closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and piety that she said, Fedaha Abuha. Okay? There is something similar about Lady Fatimatul Ma'sumah. You must have heard this story that once a group of Shia went to see Imam Kazim alayhi salam, and Imam Kazim was away. They left the questions in the house of Imam, and then they went to pick up the answers. The answers were given, but with the signature of Lady Masumah. She didn't, say that or pretend that this is given by Imam, because this was not right. So she put her name so that they knew that this is not given by Imam, but it's from the house of Imam. When they were returning, they saw Imam Kazim alayhi salam, and they said, we had questions, you were not there, we left the question, then they give an answer. So Imam said he wants to see the answer. When Imam Kazim alayhi salam saw the answer given by Lady Ma'sumah, said, Fedaha Abuha. And lady didn't have that much age, She was not, a very old lady or middle-aged lady. She was a young girl, young personality. But the knowledge that she has, the wisdom that she has, because for giving answer, you need knowledge, you need wisdom, and also her trustworthiness, that she puts her name so that she is responsible. So Imam Kazim says, Fedaha Abuha. Imam doesn't exaggerate. Imam doesn't get emotional. So one day says, Fedaha Abuha, and next day says, go to her. It's not like us. Sometimes, you get very happy, sometimes you get excited. When Imam says Fedaha Abuha, he knows what he says. It means that Even if I am not present, I don't feel people would be not able to gain the knowledge and wisdom that they expect from me. Otherwise, how can Imam make himself sacrifice for someone else? Fidaha abuha means if people refer to this person, it's like referring to me. Therefore, I have peace of mind that if I am not there, this person is there. And then another factor which helps us to understand the position of a personality like son or daughter of Imams is the extraordinary events that happen in the shrine or burial place of that person. Many stories and records about the way that this lady has helped either individuals or has helped the Hawza Ilmiya of Qom are there. Maybe you can question some of them, but you cannot question all of them, because some of them have been received from great ulama, not just from lay people, not just from ignorant people, for example, or people who have no education, or people whose history is not known. You may say, okay, this person who says I was ill and was cured, maybe he was not ill, he's just telling a lie. Okay, if he's not known, yes. But what about stories that we know all the details? We know all the background of the story. Some of them relate to great maraji, and you can find these in the books. I don't want to mention this because I don't have time. There are so many things that leave no doubt that this lady has this ability to help with getting our request. Of course, in my understanding, these are nothing. If a lady cures a person who has cancer, or for example, a person who is in debt and he needs money, and the lady, for example, somehow send her money, these are important, but I don't think this can really show the position of this lady. This lady is much greater than this. These are the things that even pious ulama, when they die, they can do. The great position of this lady is her shafa'ah, which is going to affect the whole Shia community. The great significance of this lady is the historical role that he has played in keeping this town a town of knowledge and spirituality. This is much more important than curing a person who has cancer. It's much more important than that. But of course, for many of us, those things are maybe more important. So, alhamdulillah, there are so many cases of that. Even, the shrine has a way of recording these things and making inquiry, and when everything, is checked, then they register. So if someone is interested, they can go to the office of the shrine and find these cases. Okay. I think I should stop here. I had something to say about ziyarah of the lady Fatimatul Ma'sumah. There are some important statements in the ziyarah which is recommended by Imam Raza alayhi salam. Especially I wanted to reflect on what does it mean to be a daughter of Imam, a sister of Imam, and an aunt of Imam. Maybe it's good I raise this a little bit so that you can reflect, so that inshallah another time, I don't know when, we can talk about this. To be a daughter of Imam in the Quranic sense is a very deep concept, very profound concept. You know that according to the Quran, which is based on truth and reality, to be son or daughter of someone is not a genetic matter. It's not something that is decided by your genes. The famous case is the son of Nuh. Allah Nabiyyina wa alayhi wa sallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّهُ لَيْسَ مِنْ أَهْلِكَ إِنَّهُ عَمَلٌ غَيْرُ صَالِحٍ. Not only he is not your son, even he is not like your grandson or grand-grandson. He is not from you. There is no relation. Because to be son is more important to be grandson. To be grandson is more important than being grand-grandson. إِنَّهُ لَيْسَ مِنْ أَهْلِكَ. Neither son, nor cousin, nor grandson, nothing. He has nothing to do with you. To be called daughter of prophets. To be called daughter of Amir al-Mu'mineen. To be called daughter of Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein, and then to be called the daughter of Musa ibn Ja'far. This is very special. I don't think we can really understand what does it mean that this person is daughter of all these great personalities. Means in her there is something from all these personalities. She is not daughter of Imam Kazim and granddaughter of Imam Sadiq. She is daughter of Imam Kazim and daughter of Imam Sadiq. What does it mean? You have to reflect. She is not just daughter of Imam Kazim and granddaughter of prophets. She is a daughter of the prophets. So the similarity that exists is enough to call her a real daughter of the prophet. A real daughter of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And then she is also sister of Imam. This is something that I don't think is well studied. What does it mean to be sister of someone? Normally we talk about what does it mean to be son of a person or daughter of a person. But what does it mean to be a sister of someone? If you are sister of an imam, what does it mean? And if you are aunt of an imam, what does it mean? So these are things that please reflect on them. Inshallah, in another session, if God gives us ability, inshallah we will continue this discussion about Lady Fatima MASUMAH. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the honor to be at the service of this lady, inshallah, during our life and after our life, inshallah. We hope to be always at her service, inshallah. May Allah enable all of us to benefit from the shafa'ah of this lady. May Allah, inshallah, make these few remaining days of this year the days in which we can, inshallah, achieve Allah's pleasure, Allah's forgiveness. Our year is coming to an end, but we don't know what we have achieved in this year. If there is any shortcoming, any problem, may Allah, inshallah, forgive us. And may Allah, inshallah, put an end to this year by putting His pleasure at the end of the record of our action this year. And inshallah, may Allah make the next year, inshallah, a very blessed year for all of you and for all Muslim community. Inshallah, we will resume these lectures after 2 weeks because many of brothers and sisters travel. And inshallah, after 2 weeks, we will resume these weekly lectures. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.